Hey, look at that! I got a notification. Matt Pierce is live. Weird. That would insinuate that this insanity has officially started. Doing good. How about you? It crushed my dreams. Well, they're OTAs right now, right? Or mini camp. I'm sorry, right now. So, I mean, listen, it's most likely just getting Lamar Jackson some time with the starters just to see what he can do. I'm fairly certain that no matter what, Joe Flacco is going to start Week 1 for that team down in Maryland. But I wouldn't be surprised, however, that if Flacco plays the way he's been playing for the last 3 seasons, and Jackson even provides a spark that as soon as they get out of playoff contention, Lamar Jackson is the starting quarterback for the Ravens. Ugh. I know.
Yeah, I can't talk. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's anything to worry about yet. I mean, it's Flacco's team until he, sucks like he normally does. But, I mean, if Jackson comes out and actually does really good during the preseason, those training camps and then the preseason, I mean, you'll have more of a quarterback controversy then. So maybe possibly, but I see Flacco starting the season. I don't see that changing yet.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I know they're kind of comparing Lamar Jackson to being the Michael Vick type player. I think that he could be an interesting – I don't think Flacco's a safe that safe, really. I think with him playing – not being able to really stay healthy the last few years and not playing up to his contract, I think they are looking would be really open to letting go of Flacco sooner than later and letting a guy like Lamar – if he steps up and pulls a Dak Prescott, take that job. Flacco's not getting any younger, and he's getting paid like $19-20 million a year, isn't he? Something like that.
It's ridiculous because they gave it to him after the Super Bowl because he used that as his leverage.
Well, yeah, of course, right? And can't really blame him. Yeah, it's interesting to see how that one goes because I think Lamar Jackson could be a real player in this league. In the right situation.
I got concerns, though. I don't like – I'm afraid that people are going to try and compare him to Mariota and Dak and players like that, and he's not there yet. Athletically, absolutely. He might be a better athlete than all those guys put together, but it was an oversimplified offense at Louisville. He didn't have to make reads. He's got a lot to learn. Now, can he provide a spark and make some plays? Sure. but Joe Flacco could probably still read a defense with one eye better than Lamar Jackson can right now.
Well, probably. I mean, that's probably legitimate. I mean, like all these rookies have a long way to go on, figuring out how to read this NFL style defenses. I don't know. It's funny because I guess I just thought Jackson had. Well, we were kind of expecting him to be a few years before he got a real look. So I was surprised that he got as many first team reps as he did.
Well, was Flacco even there?
Yeah, he was standing right next to him.
Okay, I just want to make sure because like if you're talking about him getting the most reps and it's like, well, Flacco wasn't even there, then
The other thing to look at it too is that they might be saving Flacco's body and his arm in these mini camps, and he's standing right there just to coach him up.
Yeah, no, and that's true. And hopefully Flacco. I always hate when these quarterbacks, like a certain one in Pittsburgh, don't want to help the younger talent. I think it's kind of a dick move to the franchise that's taken care of you for so long.
Absolutely.
He was misquoted when they quoted exactly what he said. All right.
Just like he did not inappropriately touch any of those girls.
Hey, he was never charged, so I guess not. And you got to remember, he's lucky that was back in the day whenever, if it didn't go to court, it didn't go to court, and that was it.
Yeah, you get a little rapey and not end up in prison.
Yeah, now somebody sits there and like, he looked at me weird. It's like his career's over and this and that, and next thing you know, he's like the Browns quarterback. And
oh man,
it's gonna be a good day today. Let's stay inside the AFC North. Josh Gordon and Jarvis Landry are making some huge, saying they got the best total overall wide receiving core in the North, in the league, actually.
Yeah, this is the league.
So they're pretty cocky about what they got. Now, I know there's more, you got Antonio Bryant in Cleveland, in Pittsburgh, Brown in Pittsburgh, right? Julio. You got teams that have one, dominant, awesome wide receiver, but I was thinking about it before the show, and I can't really argue, I don't think, just overall talent and expectations, who's got a better lineup of total wide receivers? Now, you'll be able to tell me one guy better than, Landry, and I'll give you that. But overall,
you got to look at it. I mean, you're looking at two. I mean, they have two good wide receivers. I mean, Coleman's Coleman, and you don't know. I mean, that rookie that they drafted, I can't remember what his name is.
Fells?
There's a possibility there.
Callaway.
Oh, Callaway.
There's a possibility there if he stays out of trouble that they could actually have the top three. Well, I'm not gonna say top three wide receivers because
they could have three top 20 wide receivers.
Yeah,
potentially.
20.
Potentially.
I mean, but I don't know. I can't think that quick. I don't got Eric's skills to bust out 30 wide receivers.
I don't mean statistically. I mean talent ceiling is what.
But yeah, they could definitely be a heck of a group. I'll put it at that. But I mean, right now you got Landry, Jarvis Landry, which has been a really good wide receiver with shitty quarterbacks. So I mean, even if the Browns quarterbacks if they would pan out to be shitty, at least you still know you got a good wide receiver because he's used to. So if he actually gets a good quarterback, I mean, it'd be kind of scary to see what he can do. And then Gordon, I mean, what you got with Gordon as long as he stays out of trouble.
And he looks. Have you guys seen Gordon? I'm not.
Yes, I have a man crush.
I'm not. I'm close to having a man crush. That guy looks like he is in phenomenal
I'd sleep with him.
There would be no sleeping, Gary. Let's be honest.
Well,
but I mean, you got to think Antonio Brown's better than either one of those two put up singly. As of now, Gordon could possibly change that if Gordon does what Gordon can do. But as of now,
I can roll with that.
Gordon being off, Brown is better than both of those guys. Not together, but both of them.
I cannot disagree.
You got Schuster, who had a heck of a year as a rookie last year, and as long as he doesn't have a step off, that's a really dangerous twosome right there. And he might just clean your clock out too. So I mean,
winner, chicken dinner.
So I'm just saying, I was like, that's a big thing. I mean, it's a battle for the top two in the AFC North, but overall league, that's just crazy because Julio Jones, even with Sanu, and now they got that Ridley, Ripley, whatever the other Alabama receiver is.
Calvin
and I mean,
Ridley.
if he shows any, potential that he had in college, I mean, that's going to be a scary passing lineup right there. So there's quite a few in the league.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. I think especially you talk about 1-for-1, Brown better than what we got right on the so far, like history wise.
Yeah.
But I just think as a total unit, especially because Coleman hasn't been able to stay healthy, and if he can stay healthy and actually get a full year on the field, especially because he should be playing more in the slot now, I'd hope, which is
he'll definitely be a third wide receiver.
A better spot for him. Go ahead.
Jarvis Landry lives in the slot.
You think
that's what he's meant to play?
You
that's
think
what
Haley's
he's meant
going
to
to keep him there?
Oh, absolutely. That's why they drafted Callaway.
Yeah, and
I don't think Coleman starts. If Callaway keeps his nose clean, your starting wide receivers are Gordon, Jarvis Landry, and Callaway. Now, if it's a receiver set, you will see Jarvis Landry on the field with Josh Gordon. But in the 3 wide receiver sets, Jarvis Landry lives in the middle of the field. Him and David Njoku are going to make average linebackers days nightmares.
Yeah, I think a guy like Njoku could have a bust out year with if Landry is playing the slot, and vice versa. I think both. I think they're going to help each other because it's going to be really hard to double any of the wide receivers on this team, especially if Gordon's back to 100% and obviously not getting high or drunk before games. And
hey, but that's when he played good.
No, what's scary is how good could he be sober? If he was that good getting messed up before the game, 1,600 yards in 14 games. I mean,
hey, you better hope that he plays good because he might. A lot of with fighters and like steroids, if you come off of that and you're not living up to what you like the potential you had, there's a big chance of going back to it just so you can be like you were. That's the scary part about the whole Gordon situation.
Well, he's the one who's got to hope that he has a breakout year because he's also in a contract year. And if dude wants to get paid, he's going to have the ball out. And I just don't think, Matt, just there is no way that a defense is going to allow Josh Gordon to be one-on-one. That's not going to happen. There's going to be a safety at a minimum over top of him at all times. So now you've got Jarvis Landry and potential one-on-ones. Again, Callaway's potential. I can't speak to what he's actually going to do. This is all potential, and this is even if he makes the field.
They said
kid's stupid fast.
They said he had an amazing OTA, and he was just breaking away from people like it's nobody's business.
So the potential is there. Now you have a quarterback who doesn't take risks. As long as the middle of the field's open, we're still going to be okay there. You have a 1-2 punch in Chubb and Carlos Hyde that are just going to just devastate you. And then the other thing that's going to take some of these passes away from Landry, Gordon, Callaway, Coleman, and Njoku, which is a topic that we're going to be talking about here in a minute, is Duke Johnson. And that is the sweep game, the jet sweep game, and him coming out of the backfield in the passing game.
And that's where it gets crazy because if you start doubling anybody, we do have a shit. I mean, in theory, right? We'll see what happens when we get it on the field. But I have faith in Haley, and I think even you, Kevin, know. And we're going to talk a little bit about what I think about this later. But you got to give Haley. Like Haley's a hell of an offensive coordinator, and if you give him enough toys, he's gonna get the most out of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no denying it. I mean, he's got the past, the history to prove it. I mean, Arizona, the Steelers, the 1 year in Kansas City. So I mean, he's got it. You give him the right equipment. I mean, if you buy into it too, that's a big part of it. I mean, there you go.
You got to have players on this offense that listen. I'm a firm believer that a coach is coach, and the players have to listen. However, there has to be some level of jive and respect there, right? So Haley has to have all these offensive players have to be able to handle the way that Haley coaches. And it was obvious that in Pittsburgh, I feel like it wasn't Haley's play calling, it wasn't the talent on the field or anything like that. The reason why it didn't work out is that Haley and several of the offensive players, they just didn't respect each other anymore. Whatever it was that created that, I'm not going to speculate, but it just seemed like they didn't buy into him and he didn't buy into them anymore, and it was time to part ways. So as long as these players on the Browns offense, have a level of respect for Haley and vice versa, then yeah, I think the play calling is going to be pretty intense, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Ben and him didn't get along from the get-go. That was like a very well-known fact. It was just more of one of those. I mean, even Ben, if I remember right, said it a couple years ago. He's like, they deal with each other. So there was no beating around the bush. And then I just, like you said, I agree that you could definitely tell this past season certain players it seemed like weren't really going full go with Haley. Because I mean, even Brown, you can tell because he got on Brown a couple times, and then it just kind of everything kind of slacked. I mean, he still had a heck of a year, but I mean, you could just tell, like you said, it just seemed like a lot of guys weren't really into Haley no more. The rating was on the wall halfway through the year, which makes no sense because the offense, whenever they could score, was a real dangerous offense.
Yeah, I mean, the thing of it is, these Steelers players got to recognize something, that they're still going to be able to make plays. They're still going to put points on the board, but it's not going to be like it was. Todd Haley is an outstanding offensive coordinator, and it doesn't mean they didn't replace him with a good one. But they might not hit some of the same numbers they were in the past just because of the play calling.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't understand. I don't understand how you can't love your offensive. I don't care if he is a douche or if he calls you out over little things or he has high expectations. I never will understand why him and Ben had such a problem with each other, where he made Ben look so good every single week. What's that?
Ben was all about Bruce Arians. He was pissed.
Oh, he loved
let him
Bruce.
Go. Oh yeah, he was pissed they let him go.
Well, okay, then that's not Todd Haley's fault. I mean,
I know, I understand. I'm just saying that's what it was.
And
that's
the offense is better under Haley,
huh?
And the offense seems more explosive under Haley than Arians.
Oh, I agree with you. And I mean, you'd think Ben would be happy.
I don't know, man.
But
you got there's different kinds of explosive. I mean, Bruce Arians had Fast Willie Parker and Jerome Bettis.
Well, no, that wasn't me hating on. I guess that wasn't me hating on Arians. That was just, I just think that it seemed like the Steelers could score at will pretty much, and Haley turned some of those guys who weren't top picks into superstars with that offense he ran. So I'll never understand it. I'm sure he'll piss some people off in Cleveland.
Without a doubt.
But I'll never understand why people have such an issue with him. All he does is make your offense score a whole bunch of points. Like, he's a fantasy owner. Like, if you own players on any of his teams, you're pretty excited because you're going to score a shit ton of fantasy points, most likely.
Yeah.
So finishing up on the AFC North, I did want to get into Duke Johnson and his new contract, which is more than they're paying Carlos Hyde, and he's now in that top 10 range. So do you guys think they're overpaying him, or do you think he's worth it, is question A. And then to follow up with that, can Todd Haley, I'm not going to say he's going to be Le'Veon Bell, but can he raise his level close to Le'Veon Bell level with Todd Haley as his coordinator?
You want to go, Gary?
All right. He might be slightly overpaid, but the Browns are in a weird situation, right? They did get some guys to come to him, and they got him signed and they got him money, but they still have to prove it at this point. And you can't let a talent like Duke Johnson walk. So it's one of those deals where they had to overpay for him slightly. Man, as far as a pure runner, hand the ball off and go, Duke Johnson isn't going to be able to get to Le'Veon Bell's level because first, 2 different run styles, and second, body size. Duke Johnson's tough as hell, don't get me wrong, but his body won't be able to take the level of punishment that Le'Veon Bell can. Passing game, he can absolutely be at the same level as Le'Veon Bell, if not a little bit better. But that's where Le'Veon is basically cornering the market for himself. He could do both damn good well. So Duke can match certain levels of what Le'Veon is capable of. And yeah, we probably did pay a little bit more for him than we should have. But the future of our backfield is not Carlos Hyde, Chubb, and Johnson. It's Chubb and Johnson.
Yeah, well, that made it easy. I agree with everything. That's what I was going to say. So, I mean, that made it easy because, and like with the overpay thing, I mean, when the Browns got all that extra cash, and I mean, as long as you offer him a decent deal, give him a little bit extra money, I don't see Duke leaving. Because, I mean, the Browns have, even in the last couple of years, I mean, he's been a big part of that offense. And they've found ways to make him more involved in it. So, I mean, they definitely overpaid. But when you got extra money like that, why not? I mean, make him happy. You want him to stay there because he's been one of your top offensive players the last 3 years. So, I mean,
he's been a model player and a model citizen, and he's balled out for us from day one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree with everything.
The only thing I disagree with is honestly I don't think they overpaid for him because I think in a couple of years if we can turn this around and keep the coaches in place and keep Haley here, I think he can. You're right, Gary. I don't think he'll be. I don't know that he'll run. I'm not saying he'll run like Bell or catch. I just think production-wise, he could have Bell-like numbers, especially with all the other weapons that we have. That he's going to have a lot of opportunities to be really successful in a Le'Veon Bell type situation. And if he gets close to those, then what we're paying him is going to be peanuts.
I just don't think he's going to have like the running numbers.
No,
he'll definitely have receiving numbers. I just don't see him getting like the rushing numbers anywhere close to what Bell can.
But do you think that's going to be because he just can't get there, or because he's going to be sharing a lot of carries with Chubb and Hyde?
I think he's going to be a majority. He's going to be a lot of pass options.
Yeah,
because he's just so good. His hands are so good, and like I mean, you got Hyde, who will probably be hurt in a couple weeks, and Chubb, depending on how Chubb does. So, I mean, yeah, he's not going to get a ton of carries. So he's definitely going to be the more receiving. Like I said, I can see his receiving yards and catches being up there, but I just don't see his rush attempts or rushing yards being really anywhere close to what Bell is going to do.
Yeah, and the other wild card here is that Chubb isn't getting the respect that I think he deserves as a pass-catching running back because he had Sony Michel with him in Georgia. All of his coaches actually raved that he's just as good out of the backfield as any other running back that came out, except the prolific Sony Michel. So I actually think that Chubb is going to come out and impress Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley, and he might steal a little bit of time away from both Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson. But then that's where you see Duke go out to that slot spot, or they move him around in the formation.
No, I agree with all that stuff. Before we move on, I do want to hit up Facebook. James, as always, is being extremely part of the show.
James, you're the man.
He is. And so he had a couple of things I just didn't agree with. He thinks that Baker should start in Cleveland. I love Landry, and plus everything I hear, he's first guy in, first guy out. And I know, like you said earlier, Gary, he's not going to make a lot of mistakes, take a lot of chances. I think that was a lot of what he had in Buffalo. I think he's going to be open to swinging that a little bit more with guys like Landry and name it just totally Gordon, yeah. Josh Gordon. I still don't think he's going to be ridiculous, but I think he is definitely going to be a little more aggressive, and I think we're all better if Baker could sit the whole year, including Baker. So I just wanted to – what is that? Is that a disagree? Is that you're like –
That is – Tyrod Taylor should start and will start the season. I feel like Baker Mayfield, by the end of the season, will have earned the job away from Tyrod. That's just what I think. Tyrod's going to play fine. He's going to do what he does. He's not going to get hurt. But Baker is just going to flash, and then he's going to Russell Wilson the shit out of him by the end of the season.
Here's my fear, and I think back to, was it Hoyer who was 7-4
let me clarify something though. He has got to Russell Wilson the situation. He's got to be legitimate, not flash in the pan, not potential. Like
But say we're
he's
7.
got to Russell Wilson it.
What if we're 7-4?
He's still the better quarterback.
If Mayfield doesn't start the season, I don't see him playing unless there's major injuries.
Yeah,
because I mean, you're not really going to flash. You're not going to have a Russell Wilson flash halfway through the season when you're doing practice. Dude.
I think Baker's going to be lights out in the preseason. I really do.
If he is, he might start. And I mean, that's I'm okay with that.
Such a bad idea.
If he sits there and he does everything and you can clearly tell that he is the best quarterback on that team, you can't let him sit.
It would have to be undeniable.
Oh yeah.
It would have to be. That's the only way I'm comfortable with him.
Not even like
undeniably the best.
Not even like, oh, they're pretty close, so we should start Baker because he's the future. I mean, it has to be like Baker.
Experience gets the tiebreaker.
Yeah, like Baker has to like rip that. And I don't. From everything I've heard, I've been listening to this new podcast, Cleveland Browns Daily. I think it's actually just a radio show back home.
Yeah,
Nathan Zagura.
Yeah, I like him, but
oh my gosh, I can't take him.
You're a freaking Steelers fan. What do you expect?
If my buddy at work listens to him every day, and I have to listen to them spew, like he'll sit there. My buddy likes to sit there and make jokes about fake news and crap. That is like the most fake news I ever listened to in my life. Every day.
Tell us how you really feel. Yeah,
dude. If you would have listened to it before the draft, every day they talked about Sam Darnold, how great he was, how he liked his cornflakes with sugar on the side, how he slept with his hair parted. Like they knew everything about the damn guy except for the fact that the Browns were actually going to take him.
Details.
I'm so glad we didn't.
I'm glad we didn't as well. Like I said, I'm okay if he snatches the job, but he's got to snatch it because everything I hear from those guys every day and everything I just see on ESPN and coming out is that Tyrod is putting in the hours. He's leading. He's like the team leader. No question about it.
The team is actually gravitating towards Tyrod.
So why even?
And I don't know. I don't know if you heard Hugh Jackson's press conference, but Tyrod is normally viewed as a quiet, reserved guy. Well, Hugh called a couple of sacks in practice. And Tyrod turned around and looked at him and said, "Coach, he wouldn't have caught me." All right, and the defensive player got in his face a little bit and kind of barked. Tyrod Taylor snapped around, looked at him, and said, "Bro, I saw your tape. You aren't sacking me."
I think but that's where I think a guy like Baker behind him is actually good for Tyrod.
I think so too.
Because Baker, we all know Baker's attitude, personality. That guy is going to get in your face and not even think twice about it. And I think having a guy like that in place helps Tyrod come out of his shell a little bit because he knows he has to. Because if he doesn't, I mean, there is that chance that Baker comes up and takes the lead and takes that job. And I don't want that this year.
Here's the thing. Baker Mayfield, no matter what, I don't even care the year that Tyrod Taylor has this year. As long as Baker Mayfield progresses like Hugh said he has so far, Baker Mayfield is starting in 2019.
And
there's
fine.
just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So there's so many different factors.
All right,
and it's going to come down to injuries, I think. But yeah, I'll live with Tyrod.
So I know this isn't on our topics, but since we're here, and I think we've done pretty good, by the way, going off our little sheet, which is amazing. Let's say Baby Jesus Miracle happens. Cleveland Browns turn it around, 12-4. I know, Kevin, don't laugh too hard.
Tyrod's your starter next year.
That's what I was going to ask. Is
Next
Tyrod
question.
the starter next year?
Yeah.
Gary says no way.
I think if Tyrod goes 8-8 this year, we'll just go 8-8. I'll be, realistic here. And they go into the preseason next year, and Tyrod's still playing good. I think you're going to stick with him because you'll look back. I mean, they can look and be like, look at Aaron Rodgers. He sat on the bench for whatever it was and came in, and now you got Aaron Rodgers. But I mean, I think it'd be more of a possibility of them going with Mayfield in the second season, especially if Mayfield looks really good. But if Tyrod has a good season, they get wins, and everyone's got that unity built, I mean, I could definitely see them, as long as he doesn't sit there and take it easy, because that could always be a possibility too, with him coming in and being like, well, I got this wrapped up, and then just takes it easy, then yeah, Mayfield will take the job from him. But if he comes in playing after a good season, I could see him sticking with Taylor, because the Browns have sucked for so long. If you have something going good, you don't want to screw it up.
I said the other day, I was having a conversation, and I said, Baby Jesus Miracle, the Browns get 9-7, maybe 9-7. Definitely if they go 10-6, no way they don't bring Tyrod back next year to start.
Wasn't he got a 2-year deal anyways?
No, I thought he was a free agent.
We traded for him. He's in the last year of his contract.
He's a free agent after
I thought they redid him and gave him an extra year.
No.
So that's just it, guys. First and foremost, if Tyrod Taylor is even if Tyrod Taylor plays better in Cleveland than he did in Buffalo, let me put it that way, then he's going to need more money. And yes, we have more money, but we have Baker. I don't think they bring him back. I also think that we're getting a little overhyped here, and we're kind of jumping the shark a little bit. Tyrod Taylor is going to be Tyrod Taylor, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But it's not – Tyrod Taylor, I think, is at his ceiling. Baker doesn't really have a ceiling right now. And I think he's going to, regardless of record, Baker's going to take the job from Tyrod next year. He's going to take it because of his ceiling, skill level, and then again, if he progresses like he is up to this point, he's going to be the better quarterback next year.
Well, my only thing is with what you're saying about Tyrod being at a ceiling and everything about in Buffalo, who has he really had besides McCoy in Buffalo that compares to even a halfway decent Josh Gordon and a Landry? I mean, you throw Duke in there, and then all right, that's all I can think of for offensive players for the Browns. So I mean, he's never had anything like that in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do you really know where his ceiling is?
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but what you got to look at with Tyrod, and I'm not going to go all Eric and spew exact numbers because I don't know them.
What, you don't know that he was 335 out of 673 passes with 12 touchdowns and 44 interceptions last year?
Nailed it.
43 interceptions.
First, LaShawn McCoy is an outstanding running back, and he could be arguably better than any of the ones that we have in Cleveland right now.
I see that.
I'm going to go kind of through it, right? So the tight end, why is his name escaping me right now? He played in Miami.
Njoku?
Son of a gum. No, and Buffalo. Charles Clay.
Okay.
Charles Clay. Sammy Watkins, although he didn't live up to potential, is a physical freak. And Jordan Matthews. That's enough to create space. Tyrod doesn't. The reason why he doesn't throw interceptions is because he doesn't make risky throws.
Oh, yeah.
He lives throwing the ball between 5 and 11 yards downfield. He's going to have to change that about himself in this Cleveland offense because it's going to be vertical because of the weapons that we got. That's going to be a mental change for him. The reason why I think Tyrod's at his ceiling is that he got into this. The dude can throw the ball. There's no denying that. But for whatever reason, he won't take the risky throw. He's Alex Smith reincarnated in a shorter, blacker version. They play very similar. And I just don't know that it's going to change that much for him. And that's not necessarily, like I said, guys, that's not a bad thing. You know who Tyrod Taylor is, and you're going to get that week in and week out.
Yeah, that's not completely untrue.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys want to hear something funny before we move on? I was thinking about you guys to talk. Every time you guys bring up Eric, it brings me. Did I tell you guys that he blocked me again this week on Twitter?
No.
Him and Chris blocked me. I don't know why Chris
blocked you?
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know why he blocked me, but he unblocked me.
That's because Eric's getting the band back together. This whole thing was a ploy.
Oh, that's what I think all day long. It makes all the sense. But I thought it was hilarious. It actually kind of made my day. Anytime I get blocked, it's like a bonus. But no, so I found the next best way to really get to Eric. I decided to take a deep dive into his podcast and started at episode 1. And then I just been tweeting out
I've seen every single tweet.
My opinion of the show.
And you're getting blasted for those
Oh, yeah.
tweets too. I
No,
noticed.
I love it. And yeah, so
If you put this much time into your own podcast, maybe
Yeah.
you get viewers like, "Whoa, bro!"
oh yeah, or
Now, is that from Eric or just other people?
No.
one of
I think
Eric's
it's one of the
friends.
end zone fans.
Yeah, it's one of Eric's friends. He's a good guy. He can have his opinion, but then this other guy who I don't know at all. You know, I was like, that's fine. I still out download the guy, but he was the other guy because I was like, so you're happy with just you and your mom listening? I'm like, well, yeah, kinda, yeah, sure. But yeah, oh yeah, it's been. I have started a battle. So Chris blocked me, then unblocked me. Then I asked him why. He just said because. But I think you're right, Gary. I think the band's getting back together, or Eric's got something over him or something. Because I never said a rude thing to the guy. Even in my deep dive updates, I've been not really said anything about Eric.
Well, no,
about
you've been
Chris.
complimentary, and
Yeah.
then you've also criticized right behind it. So I think your assessments, whether they came from a dark place or not, I feel like your assessments might have been fair without me actually watching the pod or listening to the podcast.
I think they are fair. I'm trying to be fair, but and the only reason I keep doing it now I'm hooked, and I'm gonna finish all of them, is because it pisses Eric off to no extent. I'm pretty sure he's following me because he's blocked me, but he's following me under burner accounts. But I know they're Eric, or at least I'm
too funny.
pretty good idea they're Eric. But yeah, so this deep dive just threw him over the edge. Like he's like calling me a bully, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not like being a dick. I'm just giving
I don't
open.
believe that. I know you, so
No,
you can be a dick.
Dude.
in that way.
you go.
No,
read
you can be a dick.
No, I'm. Well, let's be honest. I know
Don't
I
worry,
can be.
I'm gonna go check up on your Twitter feed because I
Yeah.
haven't really checked it
Yeah.
out.
Dude.
I'll check it out. But what's funny is when you first started going after him, I don't remember who it was, but it was somebody, probably one of his friends or whatever, posted something about how you guys are both doing podcasts. You should support each other.
Yeah,
and
same
blah, blah,
guy
blah,
that
this
told
and
me to.
that. Okay, well, it's funny because it's just like, all right, we're just regular Joes doing a podcast, so of course, you know, you're gonna have some kind of beef with other people because of whatever happened.
Yeah,
It's like the real, like the people that get paid the big bucks, the Joe Rogans, those guys. I mean, they get into freaking wars all the time. So it's like, if they are, what makes you think that just little things like this are not going to have little wars? You know,
Right. So here's the thing, right? So I'm glad you brought that up, right? So the Joe Rogans of the world, you're 100% right, man. They just say what their opinion is of all people at all times. Because,
Yeah.
well, first of all, we're all allowed to do it. I could give a fuck less what anybody has to say about I don't care. But a lot of the times, man, there are people saying the same things to Rogan that are being said to Matt right now. It's just on such a different level, right? You've got 20,000 people making comments, so you don't pay attention to the individual comment. Whereas we're talking about a couple of hundred downloads a week or a couple of views, during the actual episode. So if you get 2 or 3 people to comment, you're like you're really listening.
2,467 last week.
My bad.
That is not bad numbers.
that's
Good for you.
But
So-
it's still not like 100,000.
Not yet.
Right.
But
But
look-
on a bad week.
No, but look where we started, right? I think,
Oh,
like,
I know. I completely agree, but I see what Gary's saying.
sure.
When
The
you-
scale is different.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
all I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
The scale is different. I want to say this though, because I don't know. I rag on Eric pretty bad, like pretty bad. At least on this podcast I do anyway. The kid is extremely intelligent, and he's got a future in whatever it is that he decides to do. It's just that he is a kid, and he's a control freak, and he's got mild OCD. I don't like talking with people that have all of those 3 things, right? Because we just don't jive. So that's all it is with me and Eric. He's never done anything to me. He's not necessarily a bad person. It's just that him and I have conflicting personalities. So, but deuces, Eric, I'm going to stay on Pearson Mind. You enjoy the end zone and whatever it is scheme you got going on with Chris.
But this
I
goes.
like arguing with him because I like being a dick. So I know when I get, like, even Matt knows, when I know where I'm at that point where I got you getting so mad, it's just like, well, this will be the one that sends it overboard. So here you go. And I just throw that last little log on the fire. And
Right here. It's on the little platter right here.
Yeah.
Take it.
I have, James, I don't know what you're talking about, first off, but I don't have a lot of disparaging things to say about Eric. Besides, I mean, you kind of covered it. He's a control freak. He tries to take over every show he's on, but he's good at like getting. He's made some friends with guys from around the NFL podcast, getting them on their show. Like I try to give the guy props almost every time I've ever talked about him. I think him being the asshole of the show was great. Like I thought that was I was excited about that. He just didn't understand where that needed to stop or that this wasn't his show, and I didn't want to do Pepsi Cola drafts. They're one of my favorite things. Oh, James wants his Twitter feed. Okay, I'm gonna send it to him. But yeah,
is it like at Eric18?
Yeah,
Utah
well, we're gonna do
like
at
that?
the End Zone podcast,
Oh, okay.
and then he can go from there and find everything else.
I mean, I just straight put Eric's personal Twitter on blast.
I would.
Okay,
What is it?
scared.
It's at Eric. Was it at Eric?
Is it Utah 18 or 18 Utah? I can't
I
remember.
think it's Utah 18 Eric.
I never paid attention to his name except for the one time I was going through Matt's battles the other week or whatever, and I started texting Matt because it's like Eric. Like I went to actually Eric's Twitter and I was going through just things that he posted, and then I'm like noticing like at the End Zone or whatever his podcast is would post something, and then he would sit there and say something back, or the End Zone would be like, "Oh, that Eric's a great host," this and that. I was like, "Is he talking to himself?"
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, he is." And I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, that made my night because I was like, that's just hilarious.
I'm telling you. I mean, you can tell me, Gary. You said you've seen him. I don't think I'm being a bully. I'm giving what I think are honest
Well, no, you're.
opinions of his show.
So listen, where we grew up, where we're from, that's not being a bully. That's just you being you.
But
And it's really not that bad,
I'm
right?
trying to give honest opinions
Okay,
of his show.
so Eric is. This isn't Eric's fault, and I don't want to give him a
And I'm
pass,
tweeting
but-
his show out all bunch. I'm giving him all kinds of free credit.
No. Listen, Eric grew up in the participation trophy era. Like
That's fair.
he got gold stars. He didn't do anything wrong. So if you critique, just even the act of critiquing him, whether it's positive or negative or not, it's already putting him on the defensive.
Oh yeah, he's lost his fucking
And-
mind.
Right. And because you're relentless, which is what I like about you, it's just never ending. Like that's all he sees is Matt Pierce critiquing him all over Twitter. So you're bullying him. That's just the way he views it.
Well, I guess we could all
If
have
he
our
said you're
opinion.
bullying him, you better watch out. He's young and he's at that impressionable age. You never know. He seems a little like he could snap one day.
Yeah, I know.
He
I
doesn't know
gotta
where
be
you
careful.
live, does he?
Oh yeah, I know.
Like a 12
No.
gauge in the pant leg
Yeah,
type
no.
show up at the house
No,
situation.
thankfully he doesn't know where I live. I've picked him up a couple times to give him a ride to school.
Oh, so,
Oh, so he has your license plate.
Yeah, he knows the car I drive. Yeah, but no, I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was great when he blocked me, but it was even better when Chris blocked me for no reason because then I knew something was
Listen,
up.
there's something going on there.
Oh yeah,
You have not done anything negative to Chris in any way, shape, or form. So
that
for
I
him
know.
to take
Yeah,
a stance, right? For him to take a stance and be on Eric's side for whatever it is that he thought you did that was wrong, tells me that Chris and Eric have something up their sleeve.
which is good. That's good for them.
Hey,
Hey.
I got an idea.
What?
We're talking about him right now.
You can keep building this up, Matt.
Oh, I plan
I
on
mean,
it.
just lay it off. You know, you're normal. I'm not saying go over the. Well, you're going to go over the line, but just don't go extremely over the line.
I haven't really been bad
And
at all.
To like, a month down the line when this is still pretty bad, we could turn it like to a battle royal. Have them on. We could just all hash it out.
Well, he offered me to do that on his show.
Nah, I think you need to get them to join ours.
Yeah, I
Something
agree.
where it's all of us. Our show, their show, and
Ooh,
just
wait.
hash it out.
We need to find a third-party podcast and bring us all on and let that person mediate it.
Mediate the issue
Because then it's no holds barred,
That would be
right?
Good.
Yeah, because I could just hear Pierce now, like, no, wait, shut up, let me talk, shut up, you're wrong, shut up.
We need to find somebody else that does a podcast.
Like literally, the one tweet was like, the show host. I think it was the last one. Was like the show host has no energy to start the show whatsoever, but picks up as they start talking about sports. But the opening and close are kind of boring. Thankfully, the co-host have some energy, to keep it moving.
The other one you actually put out there, you were like, I forget exactly how it was, but you were basically pissed off that you really couldn't find a bad thing to say at that particular episode
Yeah.
you watched.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think it was the one Mark Slessler.
Yeah,
From
You
the
were-
round-
exactly it. That's the one. You're like, damn it. I can't really find anything wrong with it. And to be honest with you, I've stolen some ideas from him.
Yeah. And I thought he asked good questions. Like, I'm giving props where props are due. And I would have stopped if it didn't bother him, but he made the mistake of going off the fucking deep end.
That it bothers.
Yeah, so now I'm in till all 99 episodes are done. All right, so let's move on to the post, Eric, and I'm surprised he hasn't called. It doesn't look like he's listening on Twitter because, well, he blocked me, so he doesn't even probably know we're playing.
I haven't seen him sign on Facebook.
Yeah, so interesting. Did want to talk about this year. There's been a lot of guys holding out. Guys like Julio Jones is holding out. Earl Thomas, obvious Steelers. Le'Veon is playing the game. Aaron Donald and the Rams. Do you guys think this is an issue the league has with more and more guys holding out, or is it really better for the players because they're staying healthy?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely better for the players because they're not putting that wear and tear on their body. But the bad thing with some of them, like Le'Veon, I mean, he might be pricing himself out because this year, unless he knows that and that's what he's going for, because he's looking for what 17 to 18 mil, and if he would, like, I don't see the Steelers giving that to him, but he's going to sit there and we'll just say he'll end up signing the contract for his the
franchise tag.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Franchise tag. And that'll be, 14 and a half, I think. And then the Steelers, as long as Connor stays healthy, I mean, there's a possibility that the Steelers just let him go next year if he doesn't re-sign. And he might be pricing himself too high where he's going to want this huge paycheck and no one's going to give it to him.
Well, first, I think holdouts have been a thing for as long as I've been watching the NFL. Now, the number of them, I do agree, Matt, it's gone up just a little bit. But you got to remember, Darrelle Revis held out, and he still had 2 years left on his contract. Like, that dude was ruthless.
Well, Julio's got like 3 years left, doesn't he?
Yeah, Julio.
A couple.
Julio's making a mistake. He's not going to make any more money than he's making right now.
I don't know. It sounds like the team's interested in.
He's starting to get injured, man. He's getting to the backside of his career with the way he plays football, because he's a very physical wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think Julio's making a mistake. Le'Veon, he's got to do what he's got to do, and you're right. He's going to price himself out, but somebody's going to pay $15 million a year for Le'Veon Bell. Like, they're setting themselves up right now to do it. I don't know who, but there's a general manager out there right now. Like, I'm going to do that. Aaron Donald, dude, he could get one low block and be done. Like, I think defensive line, running back, and arguably linebacker, running back, I'll consider them kind of on the same level. They kind of deserve this because, first, they're getting their bodies beat up, and their careers could be over at any given moment.
Yeah.
And I think they have to. Wide receiver is the only position where it never made any sense to me, because I'm sorry, you might not have a Julio Jones on your football team, but you probably have 3 Mohamed Sanus, and you can win football games with 3 Mohamed Sanus.
No, I agree. And up until I heard that the Falcons are actually willing to renegotiate, I thought he was stupid. But now he's starting to look like a genius, because currently he's the 7th highest paid wideout in the league. And I get it. Like, you want to be the highest, and you could argue that he should be. But what's wrong? As much as I'm all for the players getting all the money they can get, like, as a team, it's good that maybe you have one of the best wide receivers at what would be considered a value price because you were smart and signed him to a long deal, a few years early. But yeah, it looks like they're going to pay him a little bit more. Aaron Donald, I just think it's smart he's sitting out. Same thing with the guy who just got paid in Dallas, the lineman. Was it Zach Martin?
Yeah, Zach Martin.
Yeah, he was sitting out too until they had something, an agreement, and he ended up becoming one of the highest paid linemen, if not the highest paid lineman ever. $40 million guaranteed.
Where I'm okay with the holdouts, though, is that the upcoming season is going to be their last one under that contract. And they're just trying to secure 4 to 5 more years of the most money that they're going to be able to get. That's where I'm okay with the holdout. When you're in the top 7, and I'm just picking on Julio here, and I feel kind of bad for it because he's a stand-up guy, right? I'm picking on Julio because you got 2 or 3 years left on your deal. You're already the 7th highest paid wide receiver in the league. The contract that you're on right now is the one where you got your money. Like, your rest of your contracts are going to be close. They're not going to be that much different. So sign a longer one. Keep the same money and sign 5 years and just try to get more guaranteed money, I guess is the way to put it. But the thing that I guess that I just don't like is that these guys aren't willing to live out their contracts. And maybe they're doing that because they're sticking it to the owners, because the owners look how often the owners do it to the players, right?
Yeah.
They don't always let a player's contract live out. So I don't know, man. I just, if you're going into your last year and you're a position that's needed and could be over in the blink of an eye, then do it. But wide receivers, shut up.
All right. We'll I guess we'll just end that there. I think that's the best place to do that. Next, we're going to move on to a new, we'll see how this goes, but a new segment that for right now I'm calling Fake News, and this is how it goes.
Has the world just gone completely insane? Have we all lost our proverbial collective minds?
Some of the media outlets.
I watched Colin Kaepernick, and I thought it was terrible.
I think it's a
And then it got bigger and bigger and started mushrooming. And frankly, the NFL should have suspended him for one game.
So this is Fake News, and that's the soundbite I made just for you, Kevin, because you came up with this idea. And
I like it. So.
Maybe we'll change it. I don't know, but I thought it was fun. It took me like 40 minutes to do it. See, what is this, Kevin? Explain this. What is Fake News? This is your idea.
Right. I was thinking about it because, like I was telling you, there's something I've been wanting to complain about, but I didn't just want to throw it out there because it would sound bad. But if we put it in a group thing like this, it doesn't sound – well, it's still going to sound bad, but it won't be as bad. But basically, it's taking something that you either believe is fake, or either you know it's fake or you think it's fake, the way it's stated. And I gave, for an example, I gave Matt, I told him, we'll go with the whole kneeling for the national anthem. Everybody, I mean, it's for injustice, black injustice from police and just injustice, period. But
social injustice.
Social injustice. There we go. But it's turned into the whole flag. It's all about the flag.
Yeah.
So, it's like being pissed off at that because that's not the real reason, and that's the fake reason behind it. Kind of get what I'm going with? Do you need another example?
Yeah, give me another example, because that confused me.
Or you just want me to
go into it?
So
Yeah,
he's saying that there's people out there being ignorant and don't fully understand what the protest is about. Yeah. And because they don't fully understand what the protest is about, they gravitate to something that's easy. They're disrespecting the troops.
I got
They're pissing on the flag.
Yeah.
All right, see, Gary, good job. Not that you did a bad job, Kevin.
I'm a wordsmith.
But
That's what I'm here for.
Gary did a better job.
Obviously I'm not, because I stumbled and stuttered through half of it.
That's okay.
Listen,
Kevin,
words. We still love you.
We will never be like Eric.
I tell you what my reason is.
We will never be like Eric and kick our co-host off. Well, probably not.
Probably not.
All right, go ahead. What do you got for us for Fake News?
All right, here's mine. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know if this is going to turn into a discussion or just turn ugly. But my whole thing is that it drives me crazy hearing people say it is white privilege. I think that is so made up, and it's so garbage.
Wait.
Where are we at?
What did you just do? What did you just do?
I don't believe
finish your thought.
True.
Finish your thought.
I just don't believe it's true, and it drives me crazy when people say it, because it's like I look at it as something that white people, I don't know who made it up, but white people use it because they feel guilty, and so they figure it's easier to say that than anything. And then minorities and other people, they use it as they're being treated wrong and this and that. So,
I fucking love you.
Just so I can clear this up.
So here's the reason why I don't believe it.
Hold on, wait. I just want to understand this real quick. You're saying white privilege is fake news.
It's fake news.
Yes.
Please broadcast this portion of the segment on every social media site. We will become the most popular podcast ever. Black Lives Matter is going to hate us.
Okay, so now explain to me why white privilege is fake news.
All right, now you guys got me laughing. But all right, the way they use it, like I've heard from different shows and different things where it was being used as, and it's stupid stuff because, well, not stupid stuff. I better not say that because that makes it sound really bad. But like I've heard people sit there and say,
"Oh, we've crossed that bridge, homie."
No, it'd have been a lot worse with what I'm about to follow it up with. But I've heard people sit there and say that black people getting shot by the cops and white people don't, and that's white privilege. Which I know it sounds crazy, but I've heard it.
I'm not laughing at you. No, I'm not laughing at you. I when I get a chance to speak, you'll understand why I'm laughing.
Okay, so it's like if you look at the numbers, more white people get shot every year, and I know there's more white people out there, so I understand that. But there's still, you can't use something that happens or doesn't. Like it doesn't happen to everybody. Like you can't sit there and be like, well, they had a good education, and it's like not every white person has a good education, or not every white person has the ability to get a good education. Just like if you go for black people, some of them have awesome educations, and the same thing as some don't have that good of an education just because of the school system, where they live, how they're brought up. There's so many different things that they use, and they'll be like, oh, well, she got out of that speeding ticket because she's white, so that's white privilege. It's like, well, not every white person gets out of speeding tickets. Not every other person that gets pulled over gets them, vice versa. So it's like, the way I look at it is, if it happens both sides and it's not just distinctly one side, like not every white person in the world is rich and smart and has a great job and all that stuff. So it's like, I just think people look for easy scapegoats, and that's an easy thing to say because why not just blame it on the white people?
All right, I'll let you go 1 second, Gary, because I don't even know what I have to add to this brilliance. But we're
talking about this.
Wouldn't you say that it's more of like they say that because proportionally, us white people do have it quite a bit easier, like percentage-wise, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't even know I know what I'm saying, but this is like took me by surprise, and I love it, and it's good.
See, it was so hard not to tell you that when I was trying to explain it to you that I even used my second one, was the reverse racism. I even had to use that example.
Sorry, so first, Matt, you now have to change the name of episode 40 to White Privilege is Fake News.
No, that's what I was going to put it as. Kevin thinks episode 40. Kevin thinks white privilege is...
Make them listen to find out.
Which one of our bald hosts thinks white privilege is fake news?
You sound. All right. So first of all, all right. First, I agree with you to an extent, and I'm gonna tread lightly here.
Just blow off the door.
Listen, white privilege is used incorrectly a lot, and that's from that aspect can be viewed as fake news. Okay, I'll roll that far. White privilege is very much a real thing, and I guess the best statistic that I can remember that supports white privilege is real is all the CEOs of major corporations throughout the United States. A minority runs those. It's like less than 3%. And we're talking about a lot of companies that make hundreds of $millions a year. So it's a cultural thing less than it is. Like I say, people are using white privilege a lot like people use first world problems. They're not using it in the proper context. So from that angle, yes, it could be viewed as fake news. But listen, man, I'm telling you right now, I can walk down the sidewalk in Warren dressed how I am right now. Nobody's going to look at me funny. Somebody 10 feet behind me dressed very similar to me, a black man, could walk down the street. He's going to get looked at. Whether anything gets done about it, he's going to be viewed differently than I am. Just it's the cultural bias that we have. When it comes to the education part of it, I have a firm belief that people react based on their financial situation and less by the color of their skin, right? So there are plenty of poor white people. There are plenty of rich black people. But proportionally speaking, there are more above middle class white people than there are black. And I think that's really where white privilege comes from. People, again, it's like I just stated, people react based on their financial situation. And if somebody's got themselves in a hole when they start out, it's very difficult to get outside of that hole based on the education level, the area that you live in, things of that nature. So I'm not putting an excuse on anything or trying to give anybody a crutch, but I got a hard time believing, just based on the area that I've been born and raised in, if I were a black man, I don't know that I would be in the exact same situation that I am right now. And Matt would have a even better perspective just being where he's from.
Oh, yeah. White privilege is definitely not fake. Here's what I need to add to this segment. So if we do it again, I need to have like either it's that's fake news or it's not
That's
fake.
not
Yeah.
fake news.
Yeah.
No, but again, Kevin, I wanted to show you that I get where you're coming from that angle, and I do think it's used in the wrong context by a lot of people.
Like, if they would just sit there and be like, I just think it's because they put white with it. Like, if it just be more of like that's privilege, just using privilege, I think that'd be a better way of going by it. But I think just by singling it out, that's why it kind of stuck with me. Because it's like you said with the numbers, I mean, if there's more white people, I mean, obviously the numbers are going to be, so it's like, unless you sit there and you like skew the numbers and all that crap, which I'm not doing that. That's too much time.
You can make numbers say whatever you want them to say. That's one of the
That
things I
too.
learned being in some of the career fields that I've been in. You could literally make the numbers say whatever you want them to say, but we definitely have a problem in this country, and minorities are not treated equally in way too many cases.
Oh yeah, I agree. But
it's
yeah.
not white privilege. I love that. You made my entire day. You made my entire day. We're gonna have to come back to fake news, but for right now, I don't even know what else to add to that. So we'll call that fake news. Our first one.
And I don't know how we're gonna top it. Just don't.
Some of the media outlets.
I watched Colin Kaepernick, and I thought it was terrible.
I think it's a
And then it got bigger and
I
bigger.
thought it was
started
terrible.
marching. And frankly, the NFL should have suspended him for one game.
That's fake news. The newest segment brought on by Kevin. I can't even tell you how impressed I am. Not sports related, and you really went for the fucking fences on the first one. Some people would have worked up to it, like, oh, fake news, like, I don't know, cleaning out porta potties or whatever. And then, like, week 4, you're like, bam, white privilege is fake.
You know what, though? I am going to applaud you, sir, for being you.
I love
not
it.
giving a shit and saying what you think is real.
Like, you think I'm joking, but you really just, like, you came out of your shell today. I'm loving this new Kevin Tenney.
Like, seriously, I broke out in a sweat when you said the words "white privilege is fake news." Like, I started sweating. Like my black friends are gonna kick my ass.
I tried talking to my buddy at work. He's a black guy.
How did
And
that
he looked at me and he's like, "I'm not even talking about it." And I was like, "Come on, I really want to talk."
The fact
I really want to have this conversation.
You
with
took
you.
it all the way.
Work
You
it out on him, and he was
as I sit on my throne.
Kevin's like, listen, I'm gonna go to this biggest biased black guy I know, and I'm gonna run this white privilege is fake news past him before I take it to the podcast. That, Kevin, I don't even know. You just won this show. If I was giving points out, I would just. Moving on now, and I don't know how we get better than that. I almost wish we would have closed with that now. Holy crap. But
Me too.
Gary did want to, and actually I'm glad you brought this up because I had it written down, but somehow I didn't get it on my topics. Wanted to talk a little bit, close the show out today, about esports and how they're growing. And what else did you want to talk about when it came to esports there?
Well, listen. So, I know I've already talked a lot in this podcast. Sometimes I got to shut up.
Hey, sometimes that's how it works.
So, I wanted to talk about it because I don't think it's any secret to you two guys at this point, but I've started to really get into it, and I've kind of found a passion with it. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it actually kind of started with this podcast. Like, I know I joked about saying that I'm going to become internet famous, right? But I have no delusions that it's actually going to happen. But I am enjoying entertaining people, and I think that that's genuinely what we're doing here now. Esports to me is pretty cool because we're part of the video game era, right? I mean, we've had video game systems in our hand since Nintendo came out.
Sorry, buddy.
And now, well, right now I'm playing video games and I'm putting them out there on the internet and I'm entertaining at the same time. And I don't have good content yet. I don't have any viewers, to be honest with you, but I'm having so much fun. And you're actually kind of reaching a new avenue of people and a broader generation of people. And I guess I just wanted your guys' opinion on whether you think it's what you guys think about esports, and then maybe where you think it's going to go in the future, and what you actually, if what you guys have seen.
Kevin, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I don't really I know about it. I don't really follow it too much or really get into it that much, but I know there's a lot of stuff out there like that. What, Twitch or whatever it is, where people sit there. I mean, it's crazy because I've seen or I've heard that you can actually people actually charge you to watch them play games, and I'm just like, that's crazy because that's came a long way. Because I mean, I remember the first time PlayStation 2 you were able to play Madden against somebody else somewhere. You know, it was always a shitty connection and all that, so it didn't work out. But, PlayStation 3, it started getting better. And, just the games, because it's Call of Duty such a big thing. And I know you go on YouTube and just look up clips, and it's, funny stuff or how to not cheat, but how to beat a board if you have trouble. People do all kinds of stuff out there, which I think it's cool. And especially if it's a game where you get stuck on, you can't fucking beat it. You can just type it in now, and bam, there you go. Someone's got a video of it. And so, I mean, it's definitely, I think it's going to keep going up. And that's the society we live in now, because it's you don't see kids out playing like you used to. Everyone's playing video games. They're on the internet. They're doing that. So I just think that's why it's going to be I think it's going to get so much bigger before anything else. I mean, I've thought about it, but I mean, yeah, Call of Duty would be my game I'd try to, and it just wouldn't be that good because they're just me, run out, get shot, say fuck. Run back out, get shot, say fuck, because that's usually how Call of Duty goes for me when I'm playing on the internet. So, but it's an interesting thing. I like it.
Yeah, I guess just to clarify for anybody that's watching right now and doesn't know, I mean, there's a bunch of different streaming services that you can go to. Twitch is by far the most popular, and it just so happens to be owned by Amazon. And basically, so Kevin, you can actually get onto Twitch right now and watch anybody that you want for free. What you can do, though, is subscribe to a channel. And what that does is actually give you exclusive content where you could actually have legitimate conversations with the streamer himself while he's streaming. And you can also end up actually playing with the streamer. So subscribing to their channel is what gives you a little bit more benefit, which is where these streamers are making money. But you could get it on Twitch right now and go watch the #1 Fortnite player in the world for free and probably have a good time doing it. Go ahead, Matt.
No, yeah, first off, I was a little hurt that you didn't accept my invite last night to our party. Trevor cried, I cried.
I was probably sleeping.
You were on. It said black.
One of my children was probably on.
You just tell whatever. You just say however you want. Anyways, that being said, don't worry about. I know you said you don't have any, follow. Don't worry about that. I remember this podcast had 2 to 5 downloads a week, and I was fucking hyped. Just as hyped as I am now. So I know people give me shit about we don't have that large of a feed yet on the live, but I'm gonna find a way to improve that. So yeah, just keep pushing at it. But I think it's gonna be huge. I struggle because I have a 14-year-old, and I know you have teenagers, Gary, and younger kids, and you're gonna get into this at some point, Kevin, probably sooner than later. We had to regulate Trevor and his gaming because he loves Fortnite. He plays it nonstop, and he's legitimately addicted to video games. So we had to dial that back, but it's huge. And now you got the leagues like the NBA, the NFL. They're all starting professional Madden leagues, 2K League starting. That's actually gonna be connected with each individual NBA team and those guys are getting paid real money. I think it's going to be legitimate. You're going to have leagues drawing close to maybe not NFL numbers, but definitely like I'm talking baseball numbers, maybe even basketball numbers. This is going to be the next big thing, because Trevor watches this Jack Decepticeye who's worth like $12 million, but he'll watch him for hours on end, and that's just what they do now. Like, so I think they're going to be on watching these like 2K games, people watching Fortnite, which I know that's what you play, Gary, even though you don't accept people's requests to play with them. I did get my first kill yesterday. I don't play nearly as much as I'd like because school is winning right now. Bad.
As it should.
No, I mean not in a good way. Like I think I just got a 40% on my midterm. It's going, classes are kicking my ass. But when I play, I could get hooked. I could play all night long. I have to be careful because I can't. I literally do what you do, Kevin. I get killed and I'm like, fuck. Reset.
It's so easy. My buddies, when I used to play Call of Duty all the time, they sit there and laugh at me because we'd go into the team matches or whatever, and it's like, I don't do strategy. I don't sneak around the side. It's just like, well, if you're playing capture the flag, it's like, well, there's the flag. I know there's somebody somewhere. Maybe I could just get lucky, and I just go. So all my buddies are like, they'll sit there and think it's the funniest thing because there's like, they see the flag. And it's like, oh, there goes Kevin. Oh, Kevin's dead.
Yeah. No, and that's what I do. Matter of fact, Trevor actually had to trap a guy for me yesterday so I could get my first kill. And then
there you go.
And then I fell off the mountain. But I've been streaming those to YouTube just to get my first kill. And it's fun. It's fun to play with Trevor. I love it. But I think it's going to get huge. I think it's going to be like $1 billion. If it's not already, it's going to be $1 billion industry for the players.
Well, there's already colleges that are giving scholarships out for video games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how crazy it is.
Yeah. So first, Matt, just to kind of touch on what you said with regulating the games, I mean, you have to. My parents made me go outside all the time, right?
Yep.
It was actually like a guilty pleasure when you got to play a video game when we were kids. So, I mean, that's, Troy, he's into basketball. He's into football. We go out and I make sure that we do a little bit of something with either football or basketball at least a couple times a week. And it's just as much for Troy as it is for me because I actually limit myself. I try to do no more than 4 to 5 days a week with this building content and try to do about an hour a day. Because, listen, my job already takes up enough of my time away from my family. I'm trying to potentially turn this one into a job, even though I'm having fun with it. So I got to make sure that my wife and kids they get their dad time and their husband time. So I got to regulate it a little bit, but it's massive. Mark Cuban is actually trying to make a movement to get it to be more prevalent in the United States because listen, there's people in Japan that are legitimate celebrities for playing video games. Like they're up there. E3 it just happened in Vegas this weekend. Fortnite was there. Xbox was there. Anybody who's anybody in the gaming industry was there. Fortnite put on a tournament, a Pro-Am tournament where it put guys, I'm going to name a bunch of names to you guys that you're not going to know, but they put some of the best players in the world like Ninja and Tim the Tatman and Myth up with guys like Paul George and Marshmello, right? And they fought as duos against these other Pro-Am teams. And the team that finished in first place got $1 million for their charity. Like Ninja is big into St. Jude's. And so St. Jude's literally just got $1 million donated to him because of a video game. It's insane. Like this is where this country's going right now. And a guy like Ninja, he plays for a team called Luminosity. He's got his own sponsorships. He has his YouTube channel. He has his Twitch channel. There's months where he's making upwards of $500,000 a month. And that's just what he's reporting. And it's hit or miss, right? It's all based off viewers and subs and things of that nature. But the average good video game player that's on a team that I saw a couple years ago is making $150,000 a year.
I could make that work.
I can make that work. I could live off $150,000 a year. But that's not really my end game goal, I guess, I love playing video games. I won't say that I'm great at them. As a matter of fact, that's why my motto is so much fail, because I'm just going to embrace it. You're going to get me having fun playing video games. You're not going to get me going out and getting 18 kills or getting 3 victories in a row. So it's just amazing to me to see the way that it's developed and where this country's going, and the fact that at 35 years old I still get to play video games and I'm not viewed as some kind of fucking weirdo in the basement.
I mean, but
with the lights off, covered in zits.
You are a fucking weirdo.
Oh, I'm a weirdo, but
hey, but you know what? It doesn't matter because white privilege is fake news.
Woo!
All right, guys. I think we're gonna close out with that today. If you guys want to head over to iTunes, Google Play, or any place that podcast you guys get podcast, download us, rate us 5 stars so we can kind of start moving up the ladder. Every download helps. Watch us live on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or wherever you guys do that stuff. Till next week, this is Matt Pierce, the coach, Gary Black, and Kevin Teddy, the Axeman. You guys, I'll talk to you next week.
All right, take it easy.
All right, bye-bye.
XOGX Show Enough. Catch me, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Even though he won't accept your request to play.